everyone. Welcome to Can We Talk? Today we are diving into entertainment, and we have an incredible panel here. We have
Tracy Higashi, creative director.
John Rutledge. I am retired Air Force, and now I am a trainer full-time.
My name is Chriselle Young. I work at a periodontic office, and I am also a hula dancer.
Hi everyone. I'm Josh Dualansad, and I am a former professional theater actor and musician, and now I have a marketing and branding company.
Hey, my name is Michael Considine, and I just love Jesus, music, songwriting, and recording.
Aloha, my name is Jay. I am a musician, vocalist, songwriter, and entertainer.
Are we ready to begin?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Question number 1, and we can just popcorn style this, so whoever wants to answer, but what is entertainment to you? I feel like Josh has an answer over there.
No, it's like so heavy of a question. I don't know. It's like, why is there the color blue? I don't know. Can somebody else?
I'd say it's just something that amuses you, that can give you joy, you can laugh at, something that, something that can amuse you.
Yeah?
For me, entertainment is something that just grabs your attention, whether it's media, song, anything that takes away from what your, I would say, day-to-day thinking and doing is, that removes you from that.
Yeah, I feel like entertainment is anything that you observe that evokes some kind of emotion. Like,
It's a good one. Can I
I
just
like
say
that.
I second that?
Yeah.
I would say I third that, but at the same time, just like Tracy said, just being able to just go to that place, whether it be music or a certain movie, and just kind of zone out, while enjoying, what you're viewing.
Wow. Yeah.
I think entertainment is always it's the strongest form of communication between human beings, whether it's music or dance or poetry. And you see that through history, you see that in politics, you see that through Shakespeare. So it's a communicative way of expressing each other, expressing how you feel, or a point of view, and allowing other people just a glimpse internally of what you're feeling.
That's good. Guy, I really loved your point on it's a form of communication. And I also really love it's a form of communication that evokes some kind of emotion. So in view of that, do you think that you have to consume entertainment to stay relevant?
I would say it depends on the form of entertainment. Like for my wife, for example, she finds joy in, putting puzzles together. Whereas if I do it, and I have done it with her, and I don't find that particular joy, so for me, my entertainment is different from her entertainment. My way of communicating is different from her way of communicating. But, to Josh's point, just being able to come together and find that common ground and relating it to the world, point of view as well, we can both consume the same media, if that makes sense, entertainment, whatever form it may be, but there's still kind of like a line, that you have to have before, if you're going to cross that line in a sense, or, stay with your values.
I would say yes, but in the context of church, not necessarily. So I think media or entertainment can go both ways, both negative and positive. As we watch media or we watch somebody's reel or their highlights on Instagram, we sometimes strive to be that person or want to get a certain status because we're seeing what media is showing us what's valuable. But I think in the context of church, sometimes media can play a negative aspect of just how we view that, hey, we got to take the outside and bring it into church. And so I'm a firm believer, if I'm speaking to the Christian audience, it starts creative and staying relevant, kind of just starts where your communication with God or where are you getting your inspiration from, basically? Are you getting your inspiration from a divine God that created the universe? The most creative being, right? Or are we getting creativity or ideas from media, which was man-made in some aspects? So I think there is no clear answer to that question. It's yes or no. It's yes and no for me.
I like that.
I think the question of like relevancy and entertainment, it's like when I think of relevancy, I think at its core, everyone wants to be a part of something, you know, in community with your likes or your dislikes. And so entertainment does a really good job of helping you kind of find what you like and dislike. So I wouldn't necessarily say that to be relevant, you need to partake into entertainment. Actually, I think it's the people that look at entertainment and get innovative and they are who they are. They kind of set the relevancy. So like when you see musicians and they're not doing what everybody else is doing and they just come out of nowhere, you know, like Chance the Rapper, who happens to be a Christian but can also rap and is accepted widely around secular audiences, he creates the trend and the relevancy. Therefore, people want to buy into that. So I don't know what comes first, whether it's entertainment or relevancy. I actually think it's the people that stand out and know who they are and want to do what they want to do. They then make it now relevant for everyone else. That's how I see it.
I think that the way that the question is posed, like if we put like morality aside and all that kind of stuff, do you need to consume entertainment to stay relevant? I think the answer would be yes, if relevancy is like you being like in that space of being open or looked at, being in the time that you're in, that you would need to consume some form of entertainment to stay relevant. Otherwise, like the world's just going to keep moving and there are going to be advances in certain things. And yeah, your YouTube video that only took like 5 pictures of stick drawings is not going to be relevant in the world today with people who have 200 pages of an animation. So I think in that way, yes. To answer that question without going into any kind of morality or looking at a specific thing, I'd answer that way.
No, that's good. I actually do want to dive into the morality of it. So as believers, where do we draw the line as to what is acceptable to consume or perform when it comes to entertainment?
When I got saved, the Lord cut off stuff that I didn't know was going to be cut off. So that's big for me because I didn't have to worry so much about this question, because what was gone was gone. So I immediately didn't know what happened, but the first stuff I tried to consume was stand-up comedy, which stand-up comedy there's nothing wrong with telling jokes. There is something wrong with slandering and hating people, which a lot of the comedians that I was favored at the time were doing. And I didn't know that's the reason why I didn't like it anymore, but he did that change. And so I kind of realized the things that he cut off, I'm just not going to go back to because I don't desire it. But ultimately, I feel like when it comes to what you can consume or perform, Paul writes, he says, to the pure, all things are pure. But the big question is, are you pure? And are you in agreement with the things that you're consuming or performing? Because I could listen to a song and hear a lyric that I'm not in agreement with, but can still like the music and dance to it. There may be something in a movie that I can enjoy and can learn from how it's executed, how it's filmed, how the actors do stuff. But if I'm looking with a pure heart, like I'm not learning or in agreement with what's being performed, I don't see people in a movie kill each other and be like, oh, this is good. Like, I'm about that. I'm watching this movie about a serial killer and I'm like, I want to be like that. Like, your agreement with whatever kind of entertainment you consume is going to determine or not whether or not that's okay. And as a believer, if you're in agreement with something that's obviously going against your faith, that's where you got to be checked. And so if you can, I feel like you can consume anything. It's just like it says, like it's not profitable.
Yeah, like all things are permissible. But
Yeah,
is it beneficial?
but it's not. Yeah. So as long as you're not in agreement, feel free to enjoy your freedom in Christ. But regardless, there's still repercussions to being in agreement with things that are innately wrong.
the Great Commission, I think that it is, the Bible is the blueprint for us. I was reading, I think it's
Yeah.
1 Corinthians. Paul says, paraphrasing here, that I become all things to all men, that
Yeah.
I may, win some.
Yeah.
So we're all out in the world each and every day. There's only a small percentage that comes in here, or that's, you guys on staff, but the majority of the people are out in the world. So we get to see them come in here, but that's only, for a small, minute amount of time. You compare it to, course of 7 days. So us in our everyday lives, like I'm in the gym every day, I'm a trainer. So, and I do play Christian, rap, rock, whatever it may be, and you get to see those expressions on people's faces, like, this is not what I usually listen to, but it's good, and you just see them bobbing their head and everything. And not that I try to push it on them, but you just give them that option or that opportunity to see that, okay, if it's the beat that you like, then, try this beat out and, get some edification in there too with it, you know. So that's what I think, the Great Commission is, that if we're out in the world every day, then our lives should be what draws people in. And, we just go from there like, hey, okay, most people are going to go to a gym before they would come to a church. Let that gym be that's my stage. I don't have to be up here, with my Bible just to, be holy. If I'm out there, if you're out there, performing, then that's your stage, same for each and every one of us. So that's what, what I try to go by.
How do you hold on to those personal convictions when you're in an environment that, let's say for the most part, is secular?
If I can be honest, it's difficult. It's really difficult to be in the world and still hold steadfast to the things that you believe in and, the things that God has called us to. But I think that that's when we really have to have a strong enough relationship with God and be connected to other people who are like-minded, that we're strong enough to go out into the community and to go out into our spheres and still remain strong. Instead, I can't think of any other word besides steadfast, to really just bring the good news and to really just be an image of God, or I shouldn't say an image, but more so like a mirror, like reflecting who God is in the world. And filling other people's cups. I always think about like being a lighthouse and being just a vessel truly for God to work through me into the lives of other people, because we're like, he's not physically here, but we are. And for us to be vessels for him to allow us to just be used and to just love other people and to like do whatever he wants us to do. It's difficult to fight against the flesh of like, oh yeah, but this is cool. Like, yeah, I see other people doing this. It's very difficult. But that's, again, where it's like, I love having community and people here like that I can talk about things with. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to put that out there, that it is difficult, because I'm not going to,
I think it can be difficult, especially. I would probably say you and Michael, probably the youngest up on stage, right? So when I was your age, I was certain things I know I couldn't do and I did do.
Good.
And even though I grew up in church, that didn't have anything. There was no, hey, you shouldn't be doing this or anything. I was like, hey, okay, we're going here, we're going there, let's go. But now that I know myself and I know who I am,
Right.
In Christ, I can go to a bar and, knowing that I used to be, borderline alcoholic, I can go and the drinks don't do anything to me.
Yeah.
I can go and people smoking and all in my face
Yeah.
and not do anything to me. I think it's if you don't know yourself and then you try to place yourself in those environments, that's for one, the quickest way to be called a hypocrite, because if you take part in what they're doing, it's like, oh man, you was just on this road for just 2 days and now look at you. So you have to know yourself and know who you are, and then it's gonna get hard, but it'll get easier in a sense to be able to be that light. We're looking at this picture up here, the clouds shining down through. That's how we have to be on those cloudy days or where we are, be that little glimmer of light where we are.
temptation, that's important. Like, you shouldn't be somewhere where that has a power over you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I brought out like the hardest drugs and was like, hey, does anybody want some of this? It's like, no, that's ridiculous. I can't tempt you with that. You can't be tempted with that. But there are some people who are addicted that will get tempted, and they shouldn't be in an environment with that stuff around. Same thing as, like, the word talks about, like, you're never tempted beyond what you can handle. But when you endure temptation and you don't give in to it, the Lord will make way of escape from it. So it's like, I wouldn't be evangelizing or hanging out with my buddies at a bar if I'm still an alcoholic. Or if I'm struggling with lust, I wouldn't go photography like a prom or something. Like, it's just, if you've overcome the temptation in your faith, that's a safe space for you to go to, because you're not in danger, you're free from it. And that's where, like, I think, like Tracy was saying, you got to check yourself and really understand and get to know where you are in your faith, what's still got a hold on you, what does Jesus approve of, and like how can you, or just more so, are you tempted? You know, is this not a safe space for you to go to?
I think when it comes to environments that you're in, so I wouldn't say being in a Christian environment is easier than being in the world. I think it goes back to, what is your standards? What is your moral? Put Jesus
Yeah.
aside, but what do you stand for personally? Who do you represent as yourself, right? And so I spent 10 plus years in the marketplace and then 10 plus years in the ministry. And I think one of the greatest compliments being in the marketplace is like, hey, don't swear around Tracy. Because I was able to withhold a standard of my beliefs, and people around me saw that. And fast forward now 10 years in the ministry, I'm seeing trickles of people from my previous workplace that I worked for 10 plus years actually making this church their home. And so wherever you go, you as a person got to uphold some type of standard.
Yeah.
Marketplace or ministry, it's who you represent, it's who you are. And so I don't think there's a differentiation between marketplace and ministry. It's at the end of the day, it's who you are and what you stand for.
So good.
I think at the end of the day, you know, you talked about your relationship with Christ. It really comes down to that, right? Are your habits building you towards a better relationship with Christ? You know, I find, like, when I am doing my devos, which I've been trying so hard to make sure I'm doing it, you know, early morning, like, my day just goes so much better. And I feel more equipped to be in those type of environments. Like, I would never go in a battle with no, you know, shield or sword or something that's ready. Like, so I feel like if you are called to that space, and I think a lot of it has to do with where you're at in your life. You know, if you're a new Christian and you're just getting started, well, like, just take it easy and just love God first.
Yeah.
Like, just be thankful for who God is in your life. Don't try to change the world yet. Like, it's just, that's not the time.
Don't burn out.
Yeah, but I think in certain spaces, when you start to walk with him a little longer, you actually feel nudged to do those things.
Yeah.
So, like, things change from it being so much about you, and then it kind of turns, maybe I feel it turns more like, okay, God's going to work through me now. Like, Josh, you're doing better, thank God. Let's work through you to help others. And I think this is something that maybe the Christian kind of narrative might see things differently than me, but I think non-Christians are not hard to reach. You know, we don't need to preach. We really don't. I find, and this is just for me, if you've got Christ with you and you just are yourself, people want to know what you're doing. I don't need, like, and they normally always ask. I mean, at this point, I don't think I even need to say, like, I'm a Christian. I have other people, like, saying, like, why are you smiling all the time? That's weird. Like, what's wrong with you? And then I'm like, thank you, God. You gave me that opportunity, because I prayed for it this morning. I go to church, and I love God. And I think that like, just being simple and just knowing we don't need to, like, I think I'm just preaching to myself really here, because when I first started,
Overbearing.
If you don't know, I was in the alcohol industry, and then I was also in the music industry, and I did all these things, and then I got saved, and I thought I had to go this rapid change, and I had all my good friends, and I just stopped talking to them, And the truth was, like, those were the people who were hurting the most.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
and
right.
honestly, the moment that I realized that they saw a change in me, majority of them all now have been asking me for church and stuff. So
Wow.
maybe it was a long-winded answer to say, like, it's not, I don't think it's as difficult. If you've got Christ with you, no matter what environment you're at, you're going to be able to reach people.
Yeah.
Powerful.
And just the scripture that John was talking about us becoming all things to all people, he specifies, like, when he talks about it, he's like, and to the lawless, I became as a lawless. But then he says, like, not without being law under Christ. Like,
Right,
I
yeah.
still follow in his ways. I'm just coming in that environment as they are, but I'm still going to keep myself to my personal convictions. Yeah.
Yeah, because he didn't change. He didn't change his behavior or anything. You know, he, what does this say? Set the culture. You know, when I came in here, I had on a short sleeve shirt, and it's so cold in here, so I had to adjust to what the
Yeah.
temperature was in here.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's how when we go out or when we are wherever we are, you know, we, you know, be ourselves and let everyone else adjust to you. You know, you set your standard, you have your standard. We all have our standard, but it should still point to Christ
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
What are your thoughts on should there be types of entertainment or types of movies, books, whatever, that are censored?
I feel like that's a dangerous place to go into because there'll be things that Group A
Yeah.
will be against and they believe it should be censored. But once you set that precedent for that to happen, they can start censoring whatever it is Group B was all about. So us as Christians saying, oh, we got to get rid of this and get rid of that, get rid of that. And as soon as the majority comes against what we believe, it's going to be our stuff that's getting pushed out. It's going to be our stuff getting canceled. And I just think there's a lot of ways that we can guide our friends, our families, and the people that we're close to healthier things. But I don't believe censorship is the way. It's a bad precedent.
I think it goes along the lines of culture, right? And so when we see negative media or things that possibly should be censored, what happens is as we see these things psychologically, it desensitizes us. So that's why there is censorship. But I think the more and more that I think about the places that I've been to, should there be censorship on, you know, being able to, I don't know, see what human trafficking looks like in the real sense, you know, being in Cambodia, going to Compassion International and see those things are real, right? And then in some areas, you're able to see those negative media. So should there be censorship? I think yes. If it desensitizes a human being at the very core, like Josh talked about, we are all humans. And if it desensitizes or breaks down us as humans, I think there should be censorship.
Yeah. You know, when we talk about censorship, I think it exists because you look at the impact of entertainment. And so to that point, do you think that entertainment and media can affect our social and mental health? And if so, how?
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. For me, absolutely. You know, what goes in, what you're consuming, what you're hearing, what you're feeling. And if you look at how easy it is to access things on your phone, whenever, wherever, it definitely shapes your opinion. It shapes who you are. And so for me, that's a good thing. You know, I tend to look at things on the positive side because that gives us more opportunity to reach more people. I can create more content. And also, there's more things out there for me, right? Pray.com app, our Inspire app. You know, just running and listening to Pastor Mike 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago on a YouTube sermon. These are things that, like, I don't necessarily see it as a negative, and I want to be around that type of media. And so I take it as a positive. And, you know, a good thing that's been happening is that, like, if something is awesome, just the fact that I can, like, grab it and send it to my brother or my sister or, like, people who I know, if they just listen to it, it would help. It's been really, really good. So, yeah, I think so for sure.
It does definitely affect your mental health and also where you are at socially and mentally and all of that. But it's also, it depends on what you're feeding your mind as well. plays a huge part in that. If you're watching or listening to things that are secular, your mind is going to think secular. If you're listening to things that are like godly, you're going to think godly. It's all dependent on what you're consuming. It can be used for good. It can be used for bad. Like Josh was saying, like YouTube and all of that, like it can be good, but there's also bad things on YouTube. Like, it's a choice of where you're going to put your mind, and that affects where your mind is at as well. And like you said as well, like it's going to be replaying in your mind as well. Like whatever you consume, like we all have kind of been saying, it just replays, and it's like training your mind, whether it's positive or negative. So.
Okay, well, honestly, I felt like we could probably go on for another hour to talk about this. I will open up the floor for any last comments, if you have any.
There's inspiration in entertainment. There's some people that go to the movies and they say, God is speaking to me through this movie, and that right there is your own sense of, what's the word I'm looking for, but just being able to connect with that, whether it's on the worldly side or the Christian side, we receive inspiration, going both ways. And, I don't think we should limit ourselves to just sticking on this side of the line or, okay, I'm a Christian now. I got to stay with that genre right there. When Jesus, he went out and, hung out with everybody. He didn't limit himself to anything. And, by him doing that, he was able to inspire other people, to fulfill their God-given potential, so that's what, we're supposed to do.
Sounds familiar.
Gotcha.
We don't give bonus points, but that gets bonus points.
My last thoughts on this, it's an honor to be sitting here with musicians, branding engineers, entertainers, trainers. But I think as creatives, right, let's always continue to create and do things whether in the media that's going to reach people. And I think that's, at the end of the day, that's what it is. We were designed by God to create, and whether it's through a hula dance or meeting one-on-one personal trainer and creating a plan that makes somebody better. I think that's what it is. Like, we got to create, and we got to be the forefront and the leaders in creativity, in ingenuity, in innovation as we lead the charge, and no longer let the secular media lead us. Let's lead in media.
Drop the mic.
There's this thing that kind of bugged me too about like the kind of movies that come out now, like the anti-hero, and it's like the villain and their story, and it's like it's I wanted to bring this up because there are like forms of entertainment where there is no good path or no good ending, because there could be dark stuff in what you're consuming, but the moral of the story should be there. And I remember just watching something last year, and it was a series that got super popular on Netflix, and my buddy was like, oh, let's watch it. And we watched it, and it was amusing and it was entertaining, but at the end of the series, there was no winner, no right person. Everybody was wrong. And nobody won. It's just like, this is all just dark at the end of it. And the fight scenes were cool, and this was cool, but it just left me so empty. I'm like, wow, there's no light at the end of this. It was just dark the whole time. I just wanted, because you see a lot of these movies now where that's what it's like Breaking Bad too, was like, there's no, it's entertaining, it's amusing, but there was no moral of the story.
So a final thought to the entertainment world, and I think my thought goes more to the person who's creating, like Tracy. I think if you if you don't know who Christ is or who God is, let me just be the first person to tell you, just check him out. Hey, here's your invite. You heard this. Maybe you listened to all 44 minutes and 22 seconds. But let me be the first to say, hey, check him out because he really, really loves you. And as you're creating to not give up, I really believe that God creates every person, every individual different. And whatever skill sets you have to use them to glorify and to help people. Because I think now there's a lot of messaging and a lot of just storytelling on social media that kind of say other. You're not good enough. You're not strong enough. You don't sing well enough. You're not pretty enough. And I just think that if there was one thing I could say is to people to understand that that's not who God is. That's not true. And I think that we as creatives, we as the entertainers set the standard that we can communicate a different message. And I think the people who are starting to do that are actually being noticed. And so I would just want to encourage anybody to keep writing and, you know, keep taking photos, keep on going, because I believe now is a really good time that anybody anywhere in the world can get their things seen. And that's never been the case ever. You don't need a record label. You don't need a magazine. All you need is literally a phone. And so I think God has given, there's been some crazy stuff going on, but God has also given us the tools to actually be more of the light for him than any other time in the world.
Well, I really feel like we could probably sit here and talk about this for probably a whole another 2 hours, but I'm sure our viewers have somewhere to go. I'm sure you guys have somewhere to go. But thank you to our incredible panel. Thank you to our viewers for watching this. That was Can We Talk, talking about entertainment. We hope you tune in next time. Hey, if this conversation sparked something in you, maybe you want to continue the conversation, or you're saying to yourself, I need a next step. I need to know what to do next. We have something for you.
Absolutely. Click on the link below. We have a community that would love to get to know you, schedule a Zoom, and I think it would be a really good step for you to take.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Send this to a friend. We hope to see you next time.
Absolutely. Take care. Aloha.